Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence, and today I want to talk about new bands, or I suppose the lack of them, right? So I've been thinking lately that I've been kind of a big proponent of saying, oh, there's loads of good new music out there, there's so much good new music, there's so many good new bands. And I started to think about it more, and all the bands that I've been thinking of are bands that started in the late 2000s and the early 2010s, right? And at that point, those bands aren't new anymore, right? For instance, one that I've been talking about quite a lot is King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard as one of my favourite bands, as a new band. But realistically, they got their start in 2010, right? And if we were to extrapolate that to, say, Pink Floyd, which got their start in 1965, they're now at the Animals era, right? They're at 1977. They are not a new band anymore, right? Black Midi was probably the newest band, and they quit. They packed it in after 3 albums. So, and they started in 2019. You know, so if that were the Doors, that would be near the end of the Doors' career. So I just sort of think, where are all the new bands? And obviously, with the way the music industry kind of works, it's more profitable to be, using just one artist. You see just one artist get the, reputation. Like Dua Lipa, Pharrell, Billie Eilish. They're all one person, right? And then when you go see them live, they'll have a backing band and like a big choir behind them, and and it's more of a light show type thing. And obviously those shows always existed. You had like Peter Gabriel, but then Peter Gabriel came off in Genesis. You had I don't know, what the fuck's his name? The Johnny Cash, right? Individuals, these are country singers and stuff like that, so their instrumentation is very simple and can be done with one or maybe two people. So it just got me thinking, where are all the new bands? Because Dua Lipa essentially is a band. You look at her music and it's been produced by loads of people, it's been written by loads of people. When you go see her live, there's a band behind her playing the songs and that kind of thing. So they are all essentially bands, but just using one stage name, and one person gets all the, all the glory. The same way that Jim Morrison got all the glory in the Doors, or Syd Barrett got all the glory in early Pink Floyd, or in the Beatles, everyone was kind of vying for it. But Paul McCartney, I would say, was probably the biggest name of the Beatles. But there was always someone that, like the cream that floated to the top of every band. No one remembers the Beatles for Ringo Starr. Right? No one remembers the Doors for the drummer, the name of which I don't even know, And it just kind of got me thinking, there must be new bands knocking around, right? There must be some interesting, doing something new type bands that are out there, right? So if I'm gonna look up bands that started in the 2020s, right? And we're gonna see if I can name any of them, if I know any of them. And I'm going to read off the whole list, right? And I want you to also tell me if you can name any of these bands, if you know any of these bands, right? There's 155, which is not very many. That doesn't seem like a large amount. So I'm just going to quickly just check bands started in the 2010s on the same thing. Let's see how many started in the 2010s. $771. So considering we're halfway through the decade, we can extrapolate 155 to about 310. So we've gone down from 771 to 310, right? That's not great, I don't think. Let's then go down to the 2000s. Now it's like per year, there's just thousands and thousands and thousands of them. Oh, sorry, that was 771 bands that started in 2010. That was 700, and admittedly it was 155 that started in 2020. I wanted all of the ones that started in the 2020s. We're looking at 155 bands that started in 2020, 91 bands that started in 2021, 87 bands that started in 2022, 66 bands that started in 2023, 58 bands that started in 2024, and 21 bands that started in 2025. So let's go with, say, 2023. So a band has had maybe enough time to maybe get to their second album. So if the first one is the Drake and Travis Scott thing, or whoever it was, that yen money sign, dollar sign thing, because Kanye West is like a bit of a Nazi now. That's all that band's known for. They're not really a band, they're a hip-hop duo. I wouldn't call them a band. 3%, 8 Turn, 82 Major, Ampers and One, Artems, Avi Majika, Baby Monster, Better Lovers, Biter Shock, Boku ga Mitakata Eozora, never heard of them. Boy Next Door, I think I've heard of them. No, they're a K-pop band. Bus, this is Thai pop, J-pop, Category 7. There's an American heavy metal band that's it's a super group from Anthrax and Machine Head and a few others. So a super group, doesn't really count. Kreslul, South Korean classical sort of boy band type thing. Eyes 7 Up, more South Korean. They're all South Korean. Empire State Bastard are a British metal duo formed by Mike Venant, formerly of Ocean Size. Oh, for fuck's sake, everything is a supergroup or a spin-off of something else before. Where are just the normal bands? Where's a band that's just a normal band that came from... This is another supergroup, Fizz, indie pop supergroup from London, composed of musicians Orla Gartland, Dodie, Greta Isaac. Kingfisher, indie folk group formed in Limerick in 2022. Right? That's okay. They don't seem to have gotten this. They don't seem to be a super group, and they seem to be an actual band. Whether it's my kind of music is not the point of this. I just want to see if there are bands. Losemble, it's another K-pop thing. Lun 8, there's another K-pop thing. Lycan is a Thai thing, right? Where are just bands? Because there's a lot of problems with K-pop and like how K-pop is sort of brought on by the studio labels, and they have all these kind of lifetime contracts that are really, really nasty. So I don't really want to be counting them in this. They didn't get treated the same way that, you know, Nirvana or The Doors or say Ocean Size would have been treated. Ocean Size are quite a good band. Maeve, it's another South Korean. They're not even real, they're a virtual group like Gorillaz. Mei, Missimo, Moonchild, Japanese. I know I'm just like neglecting all the ones that are Japanese, but they're all fucking Japanese. I'm so confused. They're all Japanese, Korean and Thai. Here we are, The Composers with a Z. The Composers with a Z is a British Ghanaian music band formed in London in 2013. I asked for 2022. Do you see what I mean? There's not much good coming out of the music scene at the moment. I'm really worried about new bands. Where are all the new bands? I'd love to form a band. I'd love to get a group of 4 of us. I'm trying at the moment. Lydia and I are trying to sort out this thing called 65E3, which at the moment is kind of a revolving door type thing, with us at the helm. Her on vocals and me on guitar, maybe with backing vocals. So it'd be great if we could get like a bassist and a drummer and a keyboardist, that's 5. You know, that would be great if we could get something like that. And I just don't think that it's going to happen. I don't think that we're going to be able to form a band, because bands don't seem to get their start now. They don't seem to be a thing anymore, because I suppose everyone's got bedrooms that they can do all their recordings from. They can just record from their Focusrite Scarlett straight into their Fruity Loops and then export it out and put it straight onto Spotify via DistroKid. And that's what everyone does now, and that's certainly the democratization of the music industry, that everyone can do that. I mean, Billie Eilish got her start. Her brother was a musician who did a lot of beat making and that kind of thing. And he worked inside of a bedroom, and they made their first album, the one with her like this. They made that in a bedroom. She probably got a big studio now, but they got their start in a bedroom. So it's not like you can't get big from small things anymore. It's not like big celebrities can come from small beginnings, and it's like everything is just, you know, a studio plan. That's not the case. But it's just the way that things are happening is changing. Bands are no longer prioritized. As we've seen, I couldn't find a single band other than the Lobotomizers, but then they turned out to be from like 2013, you know? And And the amount of bands that are coming out is just going down and down and down. So by the time it's 2030, there'll be 0 bands on that list, and they'll probably pack in doing the lists. And it's just a little bit sad, because for me, I love band music. I love seeing stuff live where there's a guitarist and a bassist and a keyboard. It doesn't have to be these specific arrangements, but I just find that really interesting. I'm going to see a band next month called Brekkie Boy, who are this combination of jazz and sort of techno EDM. And like EDM isn't necessarily my genre, but I feel like the fusion of it alongside jazz is going to be really interesting. They're a 3-piece band, and they're Australian, and they're playing in Vienna, and I think they're doing a few other shows all here and there. And I want to see more bands like that. You know, interesting, quirky ideas from a collective of dedicated musicians who all get to share the credit, rather than with Billie Eilish, whose brother just gets fallen by the wayside. I would like to see bands that mean something to multiple people. And I don't know, I feel like that's not happening anymore. And I don't see why, because I think there's a big audience for it. Every single person that I know, for instance, likes bands, right? And everyone that I see in the comments of these videos likes bands. I don't know anyone out there that's like, oh, bands are so old hat. I'm so glad there's no bands going on anymore. I want to see Dua Lipa. I would like to see some more bands. I would like to see some more musician, artist-led pieces of music content. And I hate the word content, but it's kind of the most appropriate thing for this now, because that's what everything is. Everything is just being solidified as just stuff made for the algorithm. All the bands that I see now that are really like local indie bands, like proper underground shit, they're all doing this shit on TikTok where it's like, guess who the drummer is? It's clearly not the drummer. Clearly the drummer, right? Or you'll see this one, it's this pop punk type band, and they do like these videos from their rehearsals, and it'll be like, hey, I'm playing, right? And I look over here, and then it'll cut to the woman over there, and she'll be going on, oh, your trousers aren't tucked into your shirt. And it's like, oh, oops. You know, it's that kind of thing. It's not about the music anymore, it's about the content that drives from it. So when 65E3, the fucking band that I'm working on with Lydia, starts, we're not doing any of this Instagram fucking shorts, TikTok bullshit of, guess who the singer is? Because she's the fucking singer. It's obvious she's the singer. She knows how to sing, right? I don't. Guess who the guitarist is? It's me, because I know how to play guitar and she doesn't, right? It's fucking obvious. Why do we need to make bits of content all around all this shit so we can have a guessing game, so we can get things going on in the comments? Leave your fucking comments below about your thoughts on my fucking videos. Every single fucking video ends with that, right? Everything's all about driving content, driving engagement, so that we can make more content, so we can drive more engagement, so we can get money off of advertising revenue, and the advertising revenue is being delivered by companies that fucking go and bomb kids in fucking Israel and fucking all sorts of horrible shit. Why can't we just have a simple fucking band that plays music in small venues, and maybe the videos get released on YouTube, and that's it, and then they get paid by the venue, right? Why can't we have any of that? I know people that comedians, right, in different industry entirely, I know, but they're currently going out trying to tour, right? And they're paying the venues to play there rather than the other way around. What the fuck is going on? Why is it that the artists are paying out the fucking hat to go out and do their jobs rather than it being the other way around? What happened to us getting paid for doing the things that make people happy? What happened to people getting paid for a good, honest fucking day's living, right? I suppose being a musician isn't a real job. So, yeah, I'm not asking you what your fucking thoughts on this are, because I don't give a shit.